All right, let's just get straight into it. Good morning. Welcome to the Poke the Bear live show. My name is Victor. I am the host of this show, and this is called Poke the Bear Live and Uncut. This is our show where I shoot straight from the hip. We react to current boxing news and updates, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about and not much time. So let's just dive straight into it. Let's see. What I did want to say as well is if you do enjoy the content, please do make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. We're always looking to bring high quality, top notch boxing content. And so please do like, subscribe, and share the video. Email us at the link in the description if you or someone you know has music that you want featured on the show. We do that. Also, make sure you click the bell icon. That's the alert button so that it alerts you when we're going live or whenever we drop new content. So today is Wednesday, July 21st, 2021, and we have really four main topics that we are going over today. So as you saw in the thumbnail for this video, just some pretty big news all around the sport of boxing. We have It looks like Canelo versus Caleb Plant is going to be made official for September. All boxing fans should be hype about that. Always be hyped for matchups that lead to an undisputed champion. And we always support the best fighting the best. That is how boxing thrives. We have Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk. Excited about that too. It's a decent fight. It's a decent fight in the meantime while we're waiting for the winner of Fury Wilder 3. We also have Teofimo, who it looks like he may be vacating his belt as opposed to fighting George Kambosos. And we have Terrence Bud Crawford, who there are rumors that he might be leaving Top Rank. So a lot for us to talk about. Like I said, not much time. Let's just get straight into it. Also, bear with me. I'm fighting through all kinds of sickness right now. Cold, all of that. So we're going to start off with the Anthony Joshua news. So we have AJ versus Usyk. And you see here this ESPN article. AJ versus Usyk confirmed for September 25th at Tottenham Stadium. Anthony Joshua will defend his three world heavyweight titles against Alexander Usyk in front of what is hoped will be a crowd of over 60,000 fans at Tottenham Stadium in London, September 25th. AJ's team at Matchroom had been negotiating with Usyk, who is the mandatory challenger for AJ's WBO belt. Usyk is mandatory. Usyk was the undisputed champion at cruiserweight, which is the weight division right below heavyweight. And obviously him being undefeated means that he had all four belts, the WBA, WBC, IBF, and the WBO. With him moving up to heavyweight now, his WBO championship status at cruiserweight is helping propel him to be AJ's WBO mandatory at heavyweight. And so after talks between promoters to stage a unified title battle between Joshua and world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury broke down in May, it didn't break down. Tyson Fury wasn't supposed to be negotiating that fight. He had an arbitration taking place behind closed doors with Deontay Wilder that Tyson Fury lost. AJ, who's 31, 24-1 with 22 knockouts, and Usyk, who's 18-0 with 13 knockouts, he's 34, won gold medals at the 2012 Olympics at super heavyweight and heavyweight respectively. So they're both gold medalists in the Olympics. And the fight will mark the first time two gold medalists in respective categories will face off in the professional ranks. They're talking about heavyweight and super heavyweight in the amateurs. Following London 2012, Ukraine's Usyk unified all four world title belts at cruiserweight before stepping up to heavyweight. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I'm going to go into their records in a second, but Usyk is a hell of a fighter. and he deserves his credit. He won the World Boxing Super Series, and he became the undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world. We as boxing fans have to continue to fight to see undisputed champions. And when someone becomes undisputed, they deserve more credit. They deserve way more credit, and we need to give the recognition and the credit where it's due. And so Usyk became undisputed at cruiserweight. There's no one on earth at cruiserweight that can touch Alexander Usyk, and he needs to be recognized for that. He has now since moved up to heavyweight. It's a different animal up there at heavyweight. Now, he did beat Derek Chisora at heavyweight. I think he beat him by decision. So if we look at Usyk's resume here, right? 18-0, 13 knockouts, no losses. He's 6'3", so he's really not tiny like that. I got to check his weight. But height-wise, he has a decent height. He'll be able to compete at heavyweight. He has AJ coming up. You see here, he beat Derek Chisora, which is a good win. That's where he got the WBO Intercontinental Heavyweight title. That title really means nothing, but it does mean he's moving up the ranks. And it does help him move up the ranks. His last fight at cruiserweight was against Tony Bellew, where he beat the brakes off Tony Bellew. It was a beautiful, beautiful exhibition by Usyk. He came to the U.S. and fought a dude named Chaz Witherspoon. I've never heard of Chaz Witherspoon, but he was 38-3, so give him credit. Usyk stopped him. I think his corner stopped it. And then he beat Derek Chisora by unanimous decision. And now he has AJ coming up. Now, a point that I want to make with this fight is a couple things. If it's a decent fight, but if AJ wins, he's not going to get that much credit. He's going to get some credit because Usyk is a hell of a fighter, and you can't sleep on a man who is undisputed just one weight division below. But it doesn't shake things up in the heavyweight division. You understand what I'm saying? There are some monsters in the heavyweight division still for Anthony Joshua to face. And so Usyk is not considered one of those monsters. He's not a knockout artist. His power doesn't really translate up into the heavyweight division. And so we'll see, if, he's only had 2 fights at heavyweight, and one of those fights it looks like his corner did stop the fight, but he's not known for being a knockout artist, if you get what I'm saying. But there are heavyweights who are. There are fighters that I would have preferred to see Anthony Joshua face. Luis Ortiz, a lot of people have wanted to see AJ fight him for over 3 years now, right? There's some big names still at heavyweight for AJ to fight. So if he beats Usyk, it does not shake up the heavyweight division in any way. But the funny thing is the other way around. If Usyk beats AJ, it definitely shakes up the heavyweight division because now this is AJ's second loss, right? It's his second loss to the underdog in the fight. It would be now he has to get a rematch with Usyk. That if he were to lose, that would probably turn into a trilogy fight. And the reason that shakes things up is because we already know that Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder have been fighting to get fights with Anthony Joshua. And so if Usyk wins, it's like, oh boy, yet again, that fight, these mega fights are getting pushed back, and we really don't have a king of the division yet. There is no king of the heavyweight division until you prove yourself. And we need to continue to push this in boxing until you beat the best out there, and until you are undisputed. You are not the best in your division, regardless of what we see with the eye test. You must prove yourself. This is heavyweight boxing. This is the sport where all disagreements are settled in the ring, and that's the only place that they're settled, in the ring. It's boxing. It's the fight sport. It's the hurt business. We do it in the ring, and so we need to continue to push to see the best fighting the best. So if AJ beats Usyk, it's a good win. It's a good win because he's going to have to really fight to beat Usyk, and we'll see if Usyk can stand up to his power. But if Usyk beats AJ, it turns the entire heavyweight division on its head. So let's take a look here. Just showed you Usyk's resume. We have AJ, Anthony Joshua, knockout artist, right? 24 wins, 22 knockouts. The only two fighters he did not knock out are Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz. We know that his one loss came by knockout at the hands of huge underdog Andy Ruiz in Madison Square Garden. AJ came to the U.S. It was his debut fight, supposed to be an easy fight against Andy Ruiz. He got embarrassed in front of the second he stepped foot on U.S. soil, he got embarrassed and he never fought back here again. It's just what it is. He lost his belts to Andy Ruiz, but he got focused, went back, got serious, and he went on to beat Andy Ruiz and get his titles back after a rematch. So good job to him, and shame on Ruiz for the way he came into that fight. But no credit to take away from Anthony Joshua. He beat Ruiz, he boxed him. So his one loss was at the hands of Ruiz, and he beat him by decision the fight immediately after that. After that, AJ goes on to beat Kubrat Pulev, right? He knocks him out. That was at Wembley Stadium. That was in 2020, so that was December 12th of 2020, so last December, and now he's fighting Usyk. So, like I said, the world still desires to see AJ fight Fury or Wilder, but Usyk's a decent opponent. Usyk is a decent opponent, and look, I'm gonna just be real. It doesn't hurt boxing, but we need AJ actually needs to win this fight for boxing. DAZN reported on it as well. AJ and Usyk confirmed for September 25th. Yo, we got some really good fights coming up for the rest of this year. We have really good fights. It's we have some good fights in August and some good fights in September. So really August through October, because in August, obviously Pac Spence, I think Benavidez and Uzcategui are fighting in August. Guillermo Rigondeaux and Casimero are fighting in August. We have, and I can't remember right now off the top of the head who else, but we also have in September, we have possibly Canelo versus Plant. It looks like that's going to happen. AJ Usyk. And in October, we have Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Boxing needs this. It needs this kind of schedule, and we need fighters to remain healthy, right? Not contracting the Rona. Now, what else do we have on the schedule, on our show schedule? So we have AJ versus Usyk. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about really is Teofimo Lopez. It's really some stuff I don't want to have to talk about this, and I wish it wasn't true for the health of the sport, but it is. Teofimo Lopez and his team are announcing that he would rather vacate his belts than go fight in Australia because Triller wants him to do that. Now, a little bit of backstory. Teofimo Lopez was scheduled to fight Kambosos this summer. George Kambosos is his mandatory challenger. Wait, I have to confirm that. But the point is he was supposed to fight Kambosos. Triller put up $6 million for this fight to happen. The fight was initially scheduled to go down in Miami. Teofimo allegedly contracted COVID. His dad was saying he's perfectly fine, all this stuff, but the fight was called off. Now, the reason that we're saying, allegedly contracted COVID and why I'm making it sound like that is the word got out that it wasn't just COVID. It was the fact that the fight wasn't selling. People were not coming. They weren't paying the money to come to your event. The tickets dropped by 80% in price, which means they were not selling tickets. For you to cut prices by 80% is crazy. and they were trying to have this huge pay-per-view event. His dad's like, we're gonna have 2 million pay-per-view buys because we're gonna have all these celebrities there. Well, that clearly wasn't the case, because not only did they cut prices, not only did the fight get called off, Triller, once, now that they're rescheduling the event, they wanted to go down in Australia, which means that you being Teofimo Lopez are no longer like they've obviously said to themselves, your name is not big enough. Your name is not big enough for what we projected was going to happen in terms of ticket sales and revenue and people's desire to see this fight. Like, I want to watch the fight, but that's just because I'm a boxing fan, right? But to casual fans, that you weren't going to do anywhere close to 2 million pay-per-view buys. You might have been lucky if you did 200,000, which is 10% of that. And so not only did the fight get moved date-wise, it's also being moved location-wise from the U.S., where you're from, to Australia, because they believe that more people will come to support Kambosos than they would to support you. It's the reality of the sport. Now, Max Kellerman, who I tend to love the way Max breaks down boxing, I don't agree with the way that he broke down what's going on with Teofimo and George Kambosos. It is, I don't like it at all. And so I'm going to show you guys what Max Kellerman had to say.
Now, Mike Coppinger reports that Triller wants to move the fight to October 17th in Australia, but Teofimo's camp says they don't want to fight in Australia and might be willing to vacate the belt and not fight at all. Let me tell you something about belts. Teofimo Lopez does not need any of these absurd sanctioning body belts. He is the lightweight champion of the world. He's the undisputed lightweight champion of the world. If anyone has a dispute, it's Devin Haney. That's the only guy, and I don't think his dispute is strong, but he does have a legitimate point of view. Otherwise, belt or no belt, garbage. He's the lightweight champion of the world. You feel you should act that way. They don't want the Kambosos fight. How about a rematch with Lomachenko for the lightweight title? Next headline: Joseph Jojo Diaz Jr.
Look. I got a lot to say about that. Statements like the ones that Max just said are bad for boxing. Statements like that are dangerous statements. These narratives are bad for boxing. First of all, I'm just going to work backwards here. He said, if you don't want to fight Kambosos, how about a rematch with Lomachenko? Oh my gosh. He's not saying that because he's a boxing fan. He's saying that because he works for ESPN and Lomachenko fights on ESPN, and the Kambosos fight was going to be on Triller, a different network, but Max works for the other network, ESPN. So he's saying, oh, if you don't want the belt, get rid of it. It doesn't matter. No one cares about this. You are the undisputed. You can't say he's undisputed. He's not undisputed. You're not undisputed until you're undisputed, until you have all 4 belts. Max Kellerman's opinion does not make you the undisputed champion of the world. You having all 4 major belts make you the undisputed champion. He said if anybody has a defense, if anybody has a dispute, it's Devin Haney, but you are the lightweight champion. No, he's not. So what if Teofimo is the lightweight champion, what is Devin Haney? Devin Haney has a belt. Therefore, he is a lightweight champion as well. And if we want one champion, then you have to have all 4 belts. That is it. Don't call somebody undisputed if they're not. That's dangerous for the sport, because you start painting these narratives that are not true. Just because Devin Haney doesn't, if Devin fought on ESPN, you would not be saying that Teofimo is undisputed. You're only saying that because Devin Haney fights on a different network, because he fights on DAZN. That's the only reason you're saying that. You're saying, how about a rematch with Lomachenko? Teofimo beat Lomachenko. You're only saying a rematch because Lomachenko also fights on your network. And if he does it again, then it's an in-house fight. But you know for a fact, if Kambosos fought on ESPN, you would be fine with that fight still happening. You know, if Devin Haney fought on ESPN, you'd be fine with that happening. You're only saying that, Max, because the Teofimo versus Kambosos fight wasn't putting money in your network's pocket, and you 100% know that that's true. That's dangerous for boxing. He's not. He being Teofimo. Teofimo is not the champion. Teofimo is a champion, and there's a difference. Someone else is equally champion, and that's Devin Haney. And you are not the champion until you have defeated everyone who has a belt. And Devin Haney still has a belt. And it doesn't mean because you have 3 and he has 1 that he's less. He still has a belt in your division. So he's still the champion in your division. The same way you're still the champion in his division. And we do not have a complete champion, undisputed champion, until you have all 4 belts. Learn from Terrence Crawford when he had all 4 belts at 140. Learn from Josh Taylor when he had all 4 belts at 120. Learn from Alexander Usyk who had all 4 belts at cruiserweight. That's an undisputed champion. But because you like him more, he's more of your cup of tea, your preference, and he fights on your network, he is not the undisputed champion. He is a champion in a division with 4 belts, like all the divisions. And he ain't undisputed till he has all 4. You want to be undisputed? Fight Devin. Because Devin called you out several times. Did you mention that, Max? No, you did not. And I think it's time that we say you're not champion until you're undisputed. You got a belt, but you're not champion until you're undisputed. Because there's other people who have a claim to the same throne that you do. It's dangerous for boxing. It's not good for the sport. It's not good when you start painting these narratives and you act like Devin Haney doesn't exist. Devin Haney is more known than Teofimo Lopez. What are you talking about? Devin Haney has a bigger profile than Teofimo Lopez. You just like Teofimo because he fights on your network. And your story is not unbiased. It's not objective. It's not about the health of the sport. It's about the health of your network. You're just looking out for you. You're not looking out for the sake of boxing. And this is why people think boxing's dying. Because you paint narratives that aren't true. You paint narratives that don't exist. Because it's what benefits your pocket and the pockets of your bosses. It's dangerous. Stop. I digress. But anyway, Teofimo is talking about he would rather vacate his belts than go and fight Kambosos in Australia. It's not a good look. It already looks like you were running from Kambosos. It looks like your event wasn't going down the way you wanted it to go down. That's just the truth. Your ticket prices dropped 80%. This ain't Black Friday. Your ticket prices dropped not because you want to be nice to the fans. Your ticket prices dropped not because it was some special holiday. Your ticket prices dropped because nobody was buying tickets to your event. That's the truth. That's the truth. And the network who initially put up the money to host your event decided to move it to Australia because the people from your country weren't supporting your event. Let me tell you something that people do support. The best fighting the best. They support the best fighting the best. Yes, they do. They do. And if the best continue to fight the best, the sport will do just fine. And your pockets will do just fine. Moving on. Let's see. Next thing we got to talk about, just being honest here, is the situation with Bud Crawford and the possibility that he will leave Top Rank. So we know that Terrence Crawford's contract with promoter Top Rank Boxing, run by Bob Arum, Terrence Crawford's contract with them is up in October. There have been rumors back and forth that he's either going to renew that contract or not. Here is the big issue. Top Rank, and I'm gonna play some audio so you guys can you can see that what I'm saying is true. Top Rank does not have the money to afford quality opponents for Terrence Crawford. One. Two, they've continuously promised him big fights. They've delivered on none of those promises. Yes, they were the promoter that first noticed him and gave him a spotlight and gave him the chance to become famous. But you gotta know that there's a point in your career, and it wasn't now, it was years ago, when you should have left. You should have left. And so I'm going to play some audio for you guys from someone who is from Crawford's team, and their thoughts on the way things have turned out between Bud Crawford and yeah, between Bud Crawford and Top Rank. So let's just play the audio. This was read from Crawford's team on Bernie the Boxer's YouTube channel.
Because this is real shit. He was with TKO Boxing, signed for TKO Boxing for probably $500 for nickels and pennies, my nigga. And then Top Rank seen him. We went 13-0, knocking everybody out. Top Rank is the first person that gave him the shot, right? Fast forward, when we fought, what's the guy that knocked out Amir Khan? Prescott.
Yeah.
Right? He was on that undercard, right?
Yes, sir.
Bob Arum was the one who was like, let's offer that fight to Terrence. Okay? We took the fight because we know what we had. Bernie, we all know what we had.
That's right.
Yes. Let's take Breeders' Prescott. We moved up from 135. The contracted weight for the fight that we were supposed to be on, it was Robert Osiobi. Look it up. We was on contract. It was a contracted weight of between 135 and 137, right?
Yes, sir.
The guy that Breeders' Prescott was one of the fight got injured. They offered that fight to Bud. Bud got on there and signed. That's when the fucking boxing world opened their eyes. Like, who was this man that dominated
Yes,
this
sir.
guy that's heavier, bigger, puncher, just out of the blue? That nobody know who Bud was unless he was really a boxing guy.
Right.
None of y'all knew who Bud was, so none of y'all are boxing guys, right? So Bob Arum showed us some loyalty in the past. So what do niggas do when people show them loyalty? You show them loyalty back.
Ain't no
They
question.
showed us dreams. They said they was gonna do this. They promised us the Pacquiao fight. They promised us all these things, and then when it came to the corner, then it didn't happen. Then we stuck, just like many other people was. Oscar De La Hoya left Top Rank. Manny Pacquiao left Top Rank. Floyd Mayweather left Top Rank for the same reasons, my nigga. If y'all know y'all history, y'all know the best fighters in the world was with Top Rank at some point in time, and the business wasn't right, and they left and got their shit right. So while y'all signed, don't blame Spence. Y'all tell Spence to stay at 147 for another fight, and we'll fight him next when we're a free agent, and we can go knock on Al Heyman's door like, hey, we're not with Bob Arum no more, so what's y'all excuse now? What y'all want to do now, though? Okay? It's one thing y'all don't want to do business with Bob Arum. I get that. Okay, I understand. I can understand that a little bit.
Yes, sir.
But when Terrence becomes a free agent and he's knocking on the PBC offices like, hey, I don't got no paperwork on me now. Ain't no ankle monitor on me now. What's up?
Yes, sir.
Then what are they going to do? And then where y'all going to be at? Okay? When this real shit come out. So all y'all laughing and joking and talking about resumes and all this shit, y'all can laugh and joke all y'all want because we're going to get the last laugh. This thing that's coming to fruition right now.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to speak on it, but
Yes.
this thing's coming to fruition right motherfucking now, and all this fucking laughter is going to stop because it's going to get real quick.
Woo!
October is the day, it is the final month of the contract. It's either one fight or October, okay? We have a disgruntled promotional company that's promoting us.
Yes.
They're not going to give us shit, but they owe us $4 million, so we're going to fight Zepeda for $4 motherfucking million, you bitch ass nigga. Come on. If they throw us rice and beans, we gonna take rice and beans. If they throw us Jesus, we gonna fight Jesus. What is wrong with y'all?
Yes,
How do
sir.
y'all not see that, okay? You have a disgruntled employer
Yes.
that is promoting a fighter that they publicly talk crap about.
Yes.
We're in a contract. We're
Yes.
not about to come out and talk and create all this confusion with Top Rank while we're still under the contract.
Right.
Okay? Like y'all gotta understand, like this ignorant nigga shit, y'all gotta understand how business works. Y'all gotta understand how white collar works. Y'all understand working for a business, because boxing is more of a business than it is about boxing these days. Back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, it was less political. The fighters fought. The fighters fought each other. Now, over the past 20 years, it's been more political and more about money and numbers and pay-per-views. And if you're stuck on pay-per-view numbers, when you got a real fighter that is in his third weight class, he's in his third weight class. Mind you, started at 135, lingered at 135, undisputed at 140, and at 147, and these guys ain't moved up 1 pound. And he's knocking on their doorstep, and they don't want to fight him because whatever excuses that they have.
Yes, sir.
How do y'all not see that? That is common sense. That is common logic for anybody that knows anything about boxing.
So a lot to unpack there. A lot. I hope we have time. So we know that Team Crawford was never happy with Top Rank. They recognize that Top Rank is the one who gave him the shot. They recognize that Top Rank is the one that brought Terrence Crawford's name into the main stage. And they mentioned that Crawford was showing loyalty back to Top Rank by renewing his contract. I wanna start off by saying, yo, I love Terrence Crawford. I love his story. I love how he moves as a man, right? I love his love for his family and his friends. He seems to be an honorable man from what I have seen. Obviously, I have a very narrow perspective into the his whole character as a man. But from what I've seen, everybody loves Terrence Crawford. For years, I remember seeing him training at Mendez Boxing Gym in New York City. Rest in peace to Mendez Boxing Gym. Greatest gym in New York City. No longer exists. But I remember before his fights at the Garden, he would come train at Mendez, and I would see him. And his gigantic team that would come with him and help him prepare for fights. He's a consummate professional. A great dude. I've been a fan of his. At the same time, it's nobody's fault but your own that you have not had a big fight at 147. And I don't want you or your team acting like people are hating or whatever. We want big fights. That's it. From this perspective, it's important for you to know that we just want big fights. And I know you want the same thing, but we've told you for years what was going on. We told you years ago that Bob was the problem. Other fighters have told you that Bob was the problem. Yes, Top Rank was loyal to you, but they got you to where you needed to be. But we told you years ago, they can't take you no farther. They can't take you any further. They've taken you as far as they can promote you, and they're not going to do you any favors from this point forward. We told you this years ago. So don't just come out and say people are hating or don't know boxing. We do know boxing. That's why we told you to leave. That's why we told you to leave. And then you finally deciding to leave doesn't make you great at business. It was like, yo, we told you to leave years ago because we saw this and we wanted better for you. We wanted to see you fight Spence. We wanted to see you fight Pacquiao. We still want to see you fight Thurman and Porter. We want to see you against the best, big fights, bigger. You know you're going to get bigger paydays as a free agent. You know that. You know you're going to make more money with Al Heyman and Premier Boxing Champions. You know that, man. No one is arguing that Bud can't fight, and no one is hating. We as fans are allowed to put our money and our viewership where we choose, where we want it to go. And you know that we want big fights. You want me to pay my money, right? You want me to watch your pay-per-views? You want me to buy tickets to your fights? You want me to tune in to your fights, right? Then fight a big name. Then fight a big name. And don't get upset when we, the customer, don't support anything outside of that. Don't be upset when we, the customer, don't pay our money for it to be the other way around. I'm not paying for lower tier opponents. Just not. Fans know you can fight. Yes, Top Rank helped bring your name into the spotlight of boxing. Fans know that you can fight. Fans want to see you fight the big names. Fans know that your affiliation with Top Rank is preventing that. Therefore, fans won't be happy until you leave. I understand that you and your team are loyal to the company that gave you a shot, but I want to say this. Top Rank doesn't pay you. The fans do. Top Rank doesn't have the money. We, the fans, have the money. And you'll see that once you leave. You're going to see that once you leave. Top Rank was saying they couldn't afford to give you this much money or that much money. They were only willing to promote you, but so far. Well, leave Top Rank. Because we, the fans, we got the money. We willing to pay. Ask dudes at PBC. They could fight a lower tier opponent. And they're like, it doesn't matter who they fight. They're getting paid a lot. And it's going to be more than $4 million. Ask Adrian Broner. Ask Errol Spence. Ask Sean Porter. Ask Danny Garcia. We, the fans, we got the money. And we're willing to put it up for top fights. Top Rank doesn't have the money. The fans have the money. And the fans want to see top fights. And the fans know that Top Rank is in the way of top fights. Therefore, we, the fans, won't be happy until you leave Top Rank. We love you as a fighter, but we want to pay for top tier opponents. That only exists outside of Top Rank. Last but not least, we got news updates on the possibility of a fight between Canelo versus Caleb Plant. I'm really excited about this, and anyone who is a boxing fan should be really excited too, because we always want to see the best fight the best. I'm gonna keep talking about that, but this is how the sport survives. This is how the sport thrives. So let's pull up a couple articles here. ESPN, Mike Coppinger. Sources, Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant finalizing September 18th bout for undisputed super middleweight title. Now, we just talked about this, right? We just talked about this. In order for you to be considered a true champion, beat the other champ. How are you going to pull up in a division and there's still champions there and you want us to call you a champion? I can't do that. I cannot do that. You got to beat the other champions in your division, bro. It's got to go down like that. There's 4 belts. You having 1 don't make you the undisputed champion. You having 3 don't make you undisputed. You got to have all 4. Just you having 6 Dragon Balls don't matter. You need 7. You feel what I'm saying? You can't have just 1 Infinity Stone. You need all of them. The gauntlet. You feel me? You need all 4 major belts in boxing to be the undisputed champion. I support this move by Canelo and PBC. Now, we know that Canelo rejected PBC, Premier Boxing Champions' initial offer to him. They offer him a 3-fight deal to fight for undisputed and to get the Caleb Plant fight. We know Canelo rejected that deal. There are rumors that Al Heyman and PBC have offered Canelo the biggest payday. There's rumors that Al Heyman and PBC have offered Canelo the biggest payday of his career. The biggest payday of his career. Now, Canelo been paid, so them offering him the biggest payday of his career is a huge deal. It's a fight that's going to be on pay-per-view. But let's go into this article by Coppinger. Canelo Alvarez is inching toward his goal of collecting all 4 titles at 168 pounds. I already don't like the way he started this article. Canelo's inching towards his goal. What about Caleb Plant? What about the fact that he has a belt and he's inching towards his goal of being undisputed at 168 pounds? Come on, man. It's like they start off with a narrative that puts you on Canelo's side. It's not good for the sport. It's the best versus the best, man. Come on. Alvarez, boxing's biggest star, and Caleb Plant, like nothing. And Caleb Plant are in the process of... I'm having a lot of trouble already reading this article. Boxing's biggest star, and Caleb Plant. How about 168-pound belt holder, Caleb Plant, are in the process of finalizing a deal for September 18th in Las Vegas. A PBC on Fox pay-per-view that will crown an undisputed super middleweight champion. Multiple sources tell ESPN. Canelo, a promotional and network free agent, was offered a 1-fight deal with Premier Boxing Champions. That will likely net Alvarez a career-high guaranteed payday. He earned $35 million for the 3 fights with DAZN and nearly $40 million for the rematch with Triple G. Alvarez's last 3 matchups were promoted by Matchroom Sport. It's unclear whether Eddie Hearn will be involved in the promotion of this fight. The Mexican star is coming off an 8-round stoppage win over Billy Joe Saunders, where he inflicted a fully fractured orbital bone on the English boxer that required surgery. Cinco de Mayo weekend victory was in the midst of an extraordinary in-ring activity for a boxer of Alvarez's stature. Superstar fighters routinely fight just twice a year, and that used to be the case for Alvarez. His 2 dates have traditionally been Cinco de Mayo, that's in May, and a Mexican Independent Weekend in September. Yet, he also fought in December. Decision win over Caleb Smith, who was at the time the unified 168-pound champion. Let's skip down. Alvarez, ESPN's #1 pound-for-pound boxer. He's won titles at 154, 160, 175, and won every fight since his draw with Triple G in 2018. His focus has been on a fight with Plant, but Plan B option that was explored would pit him against light heavyweight champion Dimitri Bivol on DAZN. A deal with Al Heyman, even only for 1 fight, would be a major coup for PBC, the organization that has network deals with Fox and Showtime. Heyman's 3-year deal with Fox expires later this year, but includes a network option for a 4th year. A fight between Alvarez and Plant would be sandwiched between 2 other major pay-per-view fights. Let's be real, Fox pay-per-view fights. PBC pay-per-view fights. Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence, Caleb Plant and Canelo, Tyson Fury and Wilder. PBC is winning. PBC boasts the deepest stable of talent in boxing, but isn't nearly as top... Oh my gosh. But isn't nearly as heavy as Top Rank. 6 of the 8 fighters on ESPN's pound-for-pound list are promoted by Bob Arum. Stop it. Listen, this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to highlight this so y'all can see. 6 of the 8 fighters on ESPN's pound-for-pound list. Let's replace the word Top Rank with ESPN. We're going to replace the word Top Rank with ESPN. Let me get a light in here, too. Yeah. Hold up. I'm going to have to put some light on my face for y'all. Well, that's better. Okay. This is such a joke. So we're gonna replace Bob Arum in Top Rank with ESPN because they're partners. 6 of the 8, 6 of the top 8 fighters on ESPN's pound for pound list are promoted by ESPN. Come on, dude. Duh. Y'all are the ones that make the list. So, of course, you're going to put your own fighters on the list. I'm not saying you don't have good fighters, but PBC is just as top heavy as Top Rank. And I'm not just supporting PBC. I support boxing. But you guys are not doing a great job of being Spence is the lone PBC fighter in that group. Y'all make the list. Y'all make the list. Of course, you got your own fighters on the list. Come on. Okay. I'm just going to give my opinion here. Just being real with y'all. I'm trying to be as real and objective as possible. They make it hard. It's bad for boxing when you paint these different narratives. It's bad for boxing when you try to put fans on sides. It's bad for boxing when the best don't fight the best. It's bad for boxing when you try to put one network or promotion over another. We want a champion, and we want a champion with all 4 belts. Now, any man that steps into the ring deserves respect, let alone a title holder, let alone a champion. Any man that steps in that ring deserves your full respect, man or woman. Anyone who steps in that ring deserves full respect, because 99.999% of the fans will never do so and will never know what it's like to be under those lights and will never know what it's like to be in a ring, and it's the loneliest sport in the world. Anyone who steps in that ring deserves full respect, let alone a champion, let alone an undefeated champion. No, Caleb Plant is not the only champion, and no, Canelo is not the only champion in their division, and that's why they fight. That's why they fight. That's why they fight. That's why we pay. That's why we pay. Because the way that you solve disagreements in this sport is you fight. That's why we pay. Because the way we handle business in this sport is we fight. You fight. You get in the ring, and that's where the problems are solved. You fight. Support the fights, not the chatter, not the talk, not the media, not this network, not that network, not this promoter, not that promoter. Support the fights. Support the best fighting the best in every division. And don't be satisfied as a fan until that's what you get. In every single weight division, we want the best fighting the best. This is how boxing survives. This is how boxing succeeds. This is how boxing thrives. And this is how we get champions. True undisputed champions. Not because Max Kellerman said it. Not because your favorite personality said it. Not because this writer of this article said it. They're undisputed when they have all 4 belts. That's the rule in boxing. All 4. So yes, I support Canelo versus Caleb Plant for undisputed. I support undisputed at any division. This is Poke the Bear. Stay tuned for this week's Poke the Bear feature. Until next time, peace.
Feeling awesome. Today is looking gorgeous. Let me try paint a portrait. Looking forward to the sport toss. Breaking down on us. Let's talk to the mechanic. Tell him how we can afford it. Lost my wallet in the mall. Calling up the office. Hope nobody stole it. Lord, I pray somebody's honest. Then the office called me back. Told me a custodian had saw it. Turned it in and come and get it if I want it. Awesome. I see my $10 cash. Awesome. There's that 10 for that gas. Awesome. I still took a loss, but I didn't. But I did. Guess it is what it is. But it isn't. And that's just how the story goes. See, life is like a box of Oreos, and that's how the cookie crumbles. At least you get the cream, little things on the road to a much bigger dream. What up? wife woke up this morning feeling nauseous. Could've sworn she was nauseous the day before this, as I recall it. And fast forward, I had a dream I had a daughter, but the sonogram say I got a boy, I can't call it. Great time for my job to lay me off. And in fact, I got a child on the way, that ain't important. Cause I get blessed with a car back rolling. First week I get a ticket, traffic court, hey y'all. The judge gave me a pass, awesome. By the way, my son name is Chaz Hoffler. Please don't call him Junior, it's different. He's a second, so technically he is, but he isn't. That's how the wheel of fortune rolls. I know my future, I don't need your horoscope, but if the fortune cookie crumbles, it's paper in between little things that remind me of a much bigger dream. What up?